I am a child of the Most High God. He has gifted me in ways that I could not even imagine and didn't know. There was a time when I didn't know who I was. I listened to other people tell me who I should be, what I should do. I listened to people telling me that I should be a boutique owner, that I should be a construction manager, that I should be a laborer. Have you ever felt like you should do something else, be something else, go somewhere else, be wherever you wanted to be, and you felt like you were in a box? Anybody in the room? And you couldn't get out. Anybody in the room? And you kept trying to go and you couldn't get out. Anybody in the room? But let me tell you, you need to rock the box. Rock the box. I am engaging, inspiring, and empowering. I would give you everything I know. Just by touching you, if I could, by osmosis, give you every single thing I've learned, I've gone through, I know I would. We know that's not possible, but as it is possible, I love to share information with people. Some of you out there, people have told you that you can't be, you can't have, you can't do. But I will tell you, like Kingston said, you can, you must, and you will. If it's to be, it's going to be me. You got to say it. If it's to be, it's going to be. If it's to be, it's going to be. If it's to be, it's going to be.
Barbara is because she believed what her mama said about her and not what other people told her.
Every day you wake up, when you're in a situation, it's your choice whether it's an advantage or the disadvantage.
She gained her confidence and her life, and now she is a testimony.
If I can help you elevate yourself, then I feel like I'm elevating my own self as well. What you know and I know together can change the world. All right. Hey, everybody. I am super excited to be with you this morning on the Empowering You Show. What do we do here? We celebrate small business owners, small businesses, and people who are doing great things in the community. And today is no different. I am supercharged. I am up on top of the game because I've been away and was able to get some relaxation and some peace. And speaking of peace, let me bring you the person who has kept all the pieces together while I was away. The super sassy, spicy, sexy Shani Smith.
Hello. So I was wondering where you're going to go with that. I'm like, is she going to go Reese Pieces? Like, what's this? What are we going to do here? What kind of piece? But
I pulled it in.
Right. I'm so happy to be here. It feels like it's been forever, Yeah. So this year is just flying by. Would you believe this is the last Thursday of July?
Yeah. It's
like, really?
Yeah. And what's super cool about that is we got some fabulous things coming up for August. But before we talk about what's coming up for August, I want to find out, since I've been away, I haven't really talked to you. What's happening in your life? What's happening in your world? In the chef Shani Smith world?
Ooh, in the chef world, things are really becoming explosive. When I tell you that I would love to cook for everyone in the world, I really mean it. And since I can't do that, I can get in your kitchen by simply go into candospice.shop, you can have me, a little piece of me in your kitchen, and you can see how I sprinkle things on. Because I don't just do flavor, I do healing. And when you get both, come on, when you get both, it's a win-win situation. So that's been exploding. That's all I can say right now. It's like it's been phenomenal. One of my reels was reposted by none other than Tabitha Brown. I love me some Auntie-Tab, so I'm just saying, I'm excited.
But see, everybody doesn't know who Tabitha Brown is, so kind of explain.
They need to know. They need to know. Okay, because Tab has been my aunt like since, even though we're like the same age, right? She's been my auntie since 2017 or so, and she is on fire. She refers to her hair as Donna, and she's created a hair care line for that. She's created seasonings. She's an actress. She's just a phenomenal person who did not lose herself at all with what's been happening. You know, on the outside, people think like, oh, she just made it, just came up. But she's really been putting in the work. I'm talking 20 plus years of in the work, and now it has exploded.
And that's what happens, Shani. It's happening for all of us. You know, people think, oh, she's an overnight success. Baby, it's very few people that have overnight success. It might be that night, but it ain't overnight. And so we need to recognize that people are putting in work behind the scenes. You just don't know about it. So when they come up, don't hate, celebrate. And speaking of celebrate, oh my God, let's get to our guest. This guy is one of my favorite people on the planet. The esteemed Identity Jedi in identity and access management, boasts over 15 years experience guiding Fortune 500 companies through the complexities of identity. His extensive background spans engineering, consulting, business development, product management, and he left this part off, public speaking, okay, making him a sought-after authority in the field. He is passionate about empowering the African-American community, and he co-founded On the Corner Media Group, a multimedia company dedicated to education and entrepreneurship. He also launched another company, Ebony Ascent, a powerful platform providing genuine insights on career achievement, financial literacy, my part, mental health, wellness, my part, mindset, my part, fostering individual and communal growth. Through his captivating podcast, Cocktails, Culture, and Conversations. Oh, by the way, why am I not on that podcast yet? Anyway, he offers an empathetic look at triumphs and challenges faced by business owners and change agents. He leaves a lasting impression on every audience he stands before. Help me bring to the show my buddy, David Lee.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I gotta have more energy.
I need the crowd to go wild, and the crowd goes wild.
How are you today, David?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day here in hot Atlanta. Dealing with the nice home office decided not to work today, so we making it happen.
It's all good. It's all good. It's an entrepreneurial thing. You know, when you expect it to work, it don't work. So what do? We shut down the shop and go in the corner and cry. No,
no, we keep it
figure
moving.
out another way, baby. So
pivot and prosper.
That's it.
Oh, I like that. Hold on, we have to make that a t-shirt.
Oh, I'm gonna need parts though. You want my cash app?
What was the saying?
Pivot and prosper.
Pivot and prosper. Yeah, I kind of like that too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have to make sure I scour both of y'all pages now. Make sure you're not doing something silly.
Hey, we go get the hashtag trending. That's what we're gonna get the hashtag.
Oh yeah. So Identity Jedi. Tell us, what does that mean exactly? I know kind of what it means, but I want the audience to know what it means for real.
Yeah, so it's just a branded moniker that kind of took off. So I've been doing identity and access management, going on 20 years now. And about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, there's a conference, Identiverse, where a lot of identity practitioners, vendors, customers come just to kind of learn about identity. And so one of the things that throughout my career, I just kind of got really good at was helping explain what identity access management was to different leaders and different project teams. And so people would, hit me up all the time, like, how did you learn so much? How do I get better? How do I do this? And so I decided to do a talk, and I was like, all right, how to become an identity Jedi, right? I'm a big Star Wars fan. I have been since I was a kid. And so when I thought about it, I was like, all right, let me put together, just kind of a guideline for how people can, learn about identity access management, what skills they need to have, those things. And so I gave that talk, and it just kind of took off. After I gave it, like, people would email me and tell me, like, I'll make all my new employees watch this when they come to my team. From the rest of the conferences for the rest of that year, like, everybody was just like, it's him, it's the Jedi guy, it's the Jedi guy. And so since then, it kind of stuck. So I was like, well, might as well just go ahead and lean into it and just kind of, make it the brand. And I just kind of been growing the whole thing ever since.
Well, identity access management, that's a mouthful that many people still really don't understand what it is. I want you to break that down in layman terms. What is identity access management?
Yeah, so it's the best way I like to explain it, especially for people who aren't like in cybersecurity, the tech world, is when you think about when you log onto your computer at work, right? You may access some kind of application. You've got to put a username and password. That username and password, how that even got there is that it had to get created into an account. So somebody create an account for you, assign you a password, assign you different privileges and things that you can do in that application. And so that whole process behind it, how that digital identity gets created, how that access gets managed. And there's a bunch of other things behind there, how like admin accounts and all those things get managed. All of that, there's processors, applications that do that, and that's identity and access management. So how does that really work? When you give that username and password, what happens, right? It does a process called authentication. And there's a lot of rules and processes behind there. And so that's really what that is. And so a lot of your big name corporations, all of them that that you can think of, all behind the scenes, there's all these things happening to make sure that you can access the applications that you access. And that's what my specialty has been, is helping companies understand how to set that up, make sure that it does it in a secure manner, but also in a manner that's obviously user-friendly, because most users use it every day and have no clue what it is. And that's how it should be.
Right. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just to make sure you have access to what you need. It's also to make sure you don't have access to what you don't need to know.
Correct. Yep.
So
absolutely.
Geeking out. Sorry.
She does that sometimes. I'm just saying.
It's all good.
I'm like, what is that? I don't click. Those are my words. My words are click. I don't know what you mean.
What you got, Shani?
I have a question for you. So how has the developments of AI impacted what you do?
Yeah, so it's been a really good talking topic. For cybersecurity in the tech world, AI is kind of going like its third revolution. It's something that we've talked about, technologists have talked about for a while, but like with ChatGPT and what the OpenAI Foundation is doing, and that company is really kind of taking the advancements and brought it to the mainstream. So the conversations we're having around identity access management is what, the beautiful thing about AI is what can be automated, right? So what can we hand off to the computer? So computers were built to crunch numbers, right? That's why we initially came up with them. They can crunch numbers and look at data in amounts and in speeds that humans can't. And so the conversation now with AI is what things can we have, IAM technology to do for us, right? Can we have them automatically maybe rotate passwords? Can we do some of the heavily administrative stuff that we have to do in the background? And can AI kind of handle some of that for it? And then also more of the kind of futuristic stuff, which is kind of cool, is can we have this kind of look at certain patterns and maybe kind of detect and give us signals of where breaches could happen? Like, hey, we're seeing these things. And so we might want to look over here before something does happen. And so those are a lot of the conversations that are happening right now. It's really been, again, you want to talk about geeking out. It's been super fun for me, like just geeking out and talking about all this stuff. And how do we get this to enterprise customers? How do we then go about it and put these in as products and use it the right way? So it's given it a nice, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? like plug of innovation in a lot of talks. So it's going to be very interesting next kind of year and a half as we see how these things start to roll out.
Wow. So go ahead.
No, you go.
So there's a lot of people that I talk to in different age groups, from mid 30s to like 70s, right? And some are really afraid of AI. And I try to explain to them, like, it's there whether you're afraid or not. It's been in use whether you want to use it or not. It's using you. So how do you comfort people? I mean,
yeah. So listen,
it's everything you do. So
yeah, and it's a conversation we need to start having. One thing that technology in general and tech companies have been really bad at is communicating to end users, right? So communicating to the non-tech community, right? You get scientists, mathematicians, engineers, right? They just we want to talk in our own language. So
and pause right there for a second. That's why I was so popular in tech, because the geeks talk geek, and I can talk geek, but I can talk English, speak English. Yeah. And so I was always that person in between. What did they say? Oh, they just said this. What did they say? They just said this. So that is so huge that you recognize that and you said that, because geeks want to geek out. That's all they want to do. And they don't want to speak to the layperson that doesn't know what you're talking about. So how do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, part of it is, and these other conversations I'm having with some colleagues right now as well, is number one, we need to create a more diverse workforce in the way that not only like neurodiversity, right, and racial diversity, but like technology. A lot of people look at tech as like, oh, I got to be technical. I got to have a computer science degree or a math degree or whatever, engineering degree. And that's not true, right? Like technology has advanced to the point where we use it in everything, right? Like you don't go a single minute in a day of your life without using technology.
It's not going anywhere.
Right. And a lot of things come together to, make that happen. So part of it is let's make sure that we're making it more appealing for more people to come into tech. So that way we have, product managers, product writers, technical writers, marketing folks, sales folks. So that way it's a full gamut, and that will, I think, help with a lot of bridging that gap of information as it comes out, right? You need people like, Barbara, like when we were talking about people who can speak both languages, both the geek and the non-geek. And that was one of my strengths as well, is that I'm able to sit in there and nerd out with everybody and engineer and code, but then I can go explain to somebody, CEO and executive, okay, here's what we need to do. And let me put it in your terms of business and how it affects you. So that's one of the things we have to do, is we do really have to work on communication. And kind of getting back to AI, the fear factor that people have. I mean, number one, it doesn't help that we've popularized all this stuff that we put in these movies over the past 3 decades, right? Oh my God, it's AI computers going to, okay, right? I mean, that's the one that's entertainment, right? And people will say, well, science fiction comes from somewhere. Yes, there is some aspects of that. And now we're starting to see things that kind of emulate some of those things that we may have seen. There are, the dangers more, I would say, more of AI is like any technology, when you use and kind of don't put enough forethought into it, it's more around like, yes, it has the ability to, replace jobs and maybe replace industries. And that's something that we need to think about. Like, hey, like one thing that right now is, a lot of marketers are kind of looking at this like, hey, I mean, I've seen some of these things create marketing copy. I know some really, really good marketing people, and they've been doing it for years. I would trust them, to run a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. And I'm looking at some of their output, and I'll look at some of the things that, something like ChatGPT and Advanced, and I'm like, there's not a lot of difference in the output. Well, now the difference is in it's the knowledge and knowing, like, how do I apply it and what do I do with it?
Exactly. It's going to create, even though it may take some jobs away, it's going to create new opportunities, new ways to operate in the business landscape. And those are the things that we need to promote. Yep, you might not be the best person to write my copy anymore, but at the same time, it's still not going to give you the human flavor as much as you want it. So just like anything else, there's always the good and how it could be used to the detriment. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is more so I always like to bring events from like history, right? I think it's very important, that people understand, not only like American history but world history when you look at certain patterns that happen over the course of centuries. And if you look at how we moved from the industrial age, right, and we went from heavy manufacturing, and then we switched from that heavy manufacturing now to kind of more services. Like we're going to have that same thing, right? And I think we've had this slow kind of roll into the technological age to where we've seen this happen a couple of times over I can say over the span of my lifetime, where you have technology come in and it's like everybody kind of like, oh my God, it's going to change everything. And it does. And then we adjust and we shift. I think what we're seeing now is we're getting more, to the prime of this technological age. We're starting to see things that, we didn't really foresee happening in this shorter period. And part of that is the onset of how fast we can advance things. I believe it's, and I'm probably going to misquote it. I don't know if it's Moore's law. There's another one that just talks about the speed at which technology goes, that every time, we get one, the next one doubles, right? So we get faster and faster and faster. An example.
Smaller and smaller.
Yes. An example that I give is like, if you think about it, it was just 10 years ago that biometric authentication, like that was like a sci-fi spy movie thing or whatever. Look around, you do it every day.
I know what biometric authentication is. Break it down for the people in the back.
Yeah. So biometric authentication is if you have an iPhone, Face ID or Touch ID, right? Using some kind of, what they call a biometric. So bio obviously stands for biology, metric to authenticate to say this is actually you, like your fingerprint or your eye, something like that. We would always see that in these crazy spy movies and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so if we think about it, iPhone back 10 years ago rolled out Touch ID, which was fingerprint. We had never had that on a cell phone. Like nobody even thought about that, right? And 2 years later, they come out with Face ID, right? And now it's on everything. It's on, either it's Android phone or whatever. And it's a way of life. People are just kind of used to it.
I take it that means you're an iPhone user. You just try to slide that in there. We're not doing that. Okay.
So that one was just purely stating facts. iPhone had it first. Apple had it first. So I'll tell you a quick funny story of why I know so much about this one specifically. At the time, I was researching and looking to build a similar type of thing for the hardware to have biometric authentication into a phone. And there's a whole bunch of technical stuff I was looking to do with it. And I came across an investor who told me, he's like, look, you have a really good idea. He goes, and I think you're going down the right track. He goes, here's the problem. He goes, and I can't tell you who they are, but there are a number of companies that have multiple millions of dollars more than you that are going down this same path. And the chipset that Apple used to put in their phones was from a manufacturer that I was researching because I was kind of looking to do the same thing. And so that's how I know so much about it. I know like Apple had it first because then they bought the rights to the chipset company and it goes on and on from there. So that was purely just the fact that Apple was looking at it first and then everybody else had it. That was not a dig at the Android lovers.
And he's an Apple user.
Okay.
I mean, look, superior interface. So we're not gonna have that conversation.
We're not going there.
You slid something else in though. Like I just keep seeing it. So, I don't know.
He did slid that right in, like rolled right off his tongue, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's literally true though. You can remember watching movies and they killed a person and then they gotta like pick their phone up, put it to their face to unlock it, and it was like, whoa, that was Terminator level right there. And now,
yeah, we also thought that moving staircases and stairways was futuristic too in the Jetsons movies, and now we're there in every airport and every store. So just saying.
Now we're like, what do you mean you don't have an escalator?
Right.
You want me to walk?
So I have some funny story about that, but we won't talk about it right now. I want to know, you got some stuff coming up, and you holding out, you holding the bag out. You got to tell us what's going on with you.
Yeah, so it's been a very interesting year, a very good summer. So the summer started off with I was able to speak. I was given the opportunity to speak keynote speaker at Identiverse, which is one of the premier identity conferences in the world. It was amazing. It was in Las Vegas. I had my media team down there to capture everything. We kind of did everything kind of documentary style. So that kind of kicked off the summer. It was an amazing event. Loved being out there with my colleagues and kind of giving the talk, and it hit home, inspired a lot of people. I got a lot of people reaching out to me afterwards, kind of wanted me to come speak. And so then I followed that up with the release of my first book that dropped. Thank you. I dropped it on Juneteenth for the culture.
How do we get it? How do we get it? How do we get it?
So it's available everywhere. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. It's globally worldwide distributed. The name of it, and I'll drop a link as well to make it kind of easy, because it's a long name and you kind of have to search to find it. But I do have a copy right here, right? So it is called The Only One in the Room, The Unwritten Rules of Being Black in Tech.
Where's mine?
And so yours is upstairs, ready. It's already signed. I just got to ship it out. I've been working with the logistics company to handle all of that.
On the way to the post office.
So yeah, this has been a baby project for mine for a good couple of years. I had the idea to write it 3 years ago, right when I left Amazon, and right during the middle of the pandemic. I just kind of really thought about, some things that I wanted to tell, and stories and knowledge that I wanted to share. Being Black in tech is an adventure, right? And there are a lot of things that during my career that there were many moments I was like, wait, we still do this? Like, this still a thing? What are we doing? Like,
well, let me pause you for a second, David. Let me pause you for a second. You are looking at it from the perspective of being a Black man in technology. Now, I want you to talk about, though you can't talk about being a female, but I want you to talk about the difference between being a Black man in technology and being a Black woman in technology.
Yes, I will. As you said, obviously not a Black woman, but I've talked to a number of them, and the stories that I hear, while we can connect and we have similar stories, it's when I hear from them, like, it's even worse, because there's still certain aspects I get when I walk into a room because I'm a man, right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm Black, and they'd be like, he probably went to one of them colleges, right? And I get a lot of those. You right, and I did. ANC, Aggie, let's go. And I get those. Wow, you speak so well. Like, everything I do is a surprise, because it shouldn't be. It's what I hear is even worse for Black women. They walk in because they have that, and you're a woman in tech, so it's like, oh, nice of you to join. Like, here's the lunch order. Like, what?
Wow. Oh yeah.
Like, oh, you shouldn't really.
Oh, make the coffee. I had that. Did you make the coffee? Did you?
I've heard stories of, comments about, like, their hair and the way they're worn and the way they dress. And, it's the whole, and I talk about this, someone in the book, like, having to walk this line of being confident, before, for me as a Black male, not coming off as aggressive. And as I've talked to Black women, it's like, I have to be confident, but then you're going to be called something else, right? It's like, oh, now you got an attitude, right? And the killer words in tech and corporate America for Black women is attitude, and for Black men is, oh, he's aggressive. It's this, and it's like, what is that? I was like, but I'll watch, this white CEO come in and just railroad everybody, say whatever he wants to say, and walks out. Man, what a leader he is. Wait, what?
How's that working? How's that working again? Yeah. So but people keep saying, why does it always have to be about Black and white? Because you make it that way. Right. Why are you making it that way? I'm intelligent. This man is intelligent. We learned to speak English just like you did. Now we
first language, in fact. It's your first language. And tech is your second language. Yet it's like,
what's the deal? But anyway, I'm super excited about your book. I got to tell you, I'm wanting to promote it. And we are probably in the near future going to do a whole month series on authors, because we just finished our next book being launched on August the 5th. So we're at 30 minutes of the show, and we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Stay tuned. We're going to come back after a commercial. David Lee, Jedi identity guy. We're coming right back. Yeah, and we're back. Listen, David's just talking about his new book. I'm super, super excited. You're gonna have to shorten that, son, because we can't remember that. We're gonna be like some easies that people can remember so that you can just roll it off your tongue. It's gonna be good for us. I also want to talk about Saturday, a week from this coming Saturday. I had to look at my calendar again. The Empowering You series continues with Let Go of the Past and Step into Your Greatness. It's a book launch, and we are looking forward to having a link for you by next Thursday that you might be able to attend without actually being in the room. So look forward to that. Super excited. Oh my God, the authors, we met with them last night, and they are psych about this book launch. Listen, David, did you do a launch for your book?
Not yet. So I'm planning that with my team. We kind of talked about it. We wanted to do something where obviously we can kind of get a reading, kind of get everybody in a room. And when I started to look at it and started polling people, like there was people from everywhere. And I was like, no matter where we pick, like this is not going to work. So what we're planning is we're going to do both a virtual and one in person. So we're going to do something, nice and cozy out here in Atlanta. But then also set up to virtual so people can attend and check it out. So we are, the team is putting that together now. So we're going to be having that, thinking probably like end of August, September.
Please put some flyers out so that we can push it out for folks to hear about it, because we definitely want to promote you. We have to promote each other. We have to lift each other up.
Absolutely.
This is how we grow. So the book is done. We had this phenomenal talk. And something occurred between the talk and the book. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So, do you know what I'm talking
about? I don't quite know. A couple of things happened.
I'm talking about your discovery that you actually are a phenomenal speaker. He's so doggone modest. I want to just go over there and just shake him. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
See, he can't even articulate when I say you are a phenomenal speaker. Stop playing.
This is true. I think for me, it's something that I've had this for so long. The first talk I gave, man, I gotta ask my mom. It was maybe like 9 or 10. Was the first talk that I gave, and it was at a
Wait, 9 or 10 years old, or are you saying 9 or 10 years ago?
No, 9 or 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a, you call it a graduation, but you move from like 4th to 5th grade or something like that, whatever, and kind of give you a nice little graduation
exercise.
Yeah. And so I remember that was the first one that I gave. And I can't remember, I don't remember all the details of why I was chosen or why I asked to do it, but I did. And I just remember that we went and I had this plush purple suit. I'll never forget that.
Not the plush purple. Not the plush purple.
Plush purple suit. And I'm up there. And I just, I kind of gave a talk, and like the teachers were just like, oh my gosh, like what is this? And so I've always done it. I remember speaking at my dad's church in LA, and my dad and I weren't super close, but I was visiting for a weekend, and again they asked for people to come and speak about something. I don't remember what it was, but I got up and I went and spoke, and my dad calls my mom, and he's like, did you has he always done this? Like, like, so it's something that for me, right? And I Barbara knows me better than anyone else. I realize I've been blessed with talents, right? And but I'm not the type of person to kind of flaunt them in anybody's face or over them. So I've had this for a while. I've this ability to talk and engage with people, and I've had it my entire life. So for me, when people react the way they do, it's not surprising, but I'm just kind of like, it's off-putting, because I'm just like, all right, this is just, people are like, oh, did you practice that, did this? And like the part that really gets them is like,
No.
I mean, half the time I just like, nah, they asked me to speak and I came up with it like 20 minutes ago. I was like, all right, cool. Let me hop on stage. Yeah. The keynote was a little different. I did, practice, kind of put that together, but I think the whole speech came together really like the night before. So it's something that I have definitely leaned into the last couple of years. And then this year, like just seeing the reactions, the emails, the texts, like just everything that I got the past week after that, I was like, okay, this is, definitely something that I'm leaning into more. Starting to kind of put like the team in place to kind of handle some of this. I've been requested by a couple of companies to come in and speak to some of their resource groups and things like that. So we're going to continue to push that. There are a lot of things that, not only that I want to, share with people, but, really, connect with and help, people kind of get comfortable in the things that they can do and where they are, and sharing these stories and realizing that, it's through that we learn the best, right? You don't always go through something in your life for you. Sometimes you go through it for other people.
Never.
And I think sometimes people don't realize that. So
yeah. So I agree wholeheartedly. Most of the time we go through things for other people. But you recently hired me as your coach, as your speaking coach. You've been speaking for years. And so why now? Why now did you think, after you are a phenomenal speaker, that you felt like you needed a coach?
So I'm gonna be really honest and all the way real. I got tired of watching these whack MFers up here, and I'm just like, hold on, like this ain't. If they up here doing this, like some need to be different. I was like, okay. It was like years of, friends and family telling me like, man, like you really need to do something with this. You really need to do something with this. And at the time that, we connected, I was a part of the Black Business Olympics. And, I'm really big into like just energy and that spirit connection. And it's like seeing you, I was like, there's something there. Right. And I've told Barbara this before. And I would tell everybody I was and actually still am anti-coach unless her name was Barbara Smith. Because
he was anti-coach from the start. Like he told us the first thing he said out. Tell him, David. Tell him.
First thing I said to her was like, "Look, man, this whole coaching thing, I don't really." But I was like, clearly, I was like, there's a difference between where I'm at and where you're at, right? And I've never let my ego get in the way of like, okay, there's something that I want, and there's like, but I don't have it, but this person does. And if they're willing to share with me, then I'm willing to, humble myself and say, okay, I'm gonna listen. But my thing is, I will listen to people who have information worth giving, and not everybody does. And there's a lot of people who get up on these stages and do all these things, and it's fake, right? They're telling you stuff that you could just figure out, or it's just the intention behind it is I'm trying to make money and do this. Their intention is that I am trying to better somebody. And so I just ran into a lot of, bad coaches out there and bad coaches. And I've got friends who got taken by this stuff. And I'm looking, I'm like, yo, you're not helping, right? You're making this even worse, because this is a value that somebody can give. So I was very, very leery of it. I've seen people get caught up in it, but there was something different when we talked, and I was like, okay. And just the the information that we've been, sharing, I knew that, listen, you can always get better at anything, right?
Yes.
I knew I had already honed a certain set of skills. I knew I could do theirs, but there's, it's about that iron sharpening iron, right? There was, little details that, you would give me that I'm like, man, I never even thought about it that way. And so it wasn't a lot. It wasn't like, she was like, okay, I'm gonna just move you this way. And then it's like, dang, there's a door over there. Like, she's like, and so it's those type of things. And that for me was the most powerful thing about it. Knowing that I've got a trusted person who's like, okay, I see you, I see where you're at. Here's some things you fix here. Okay, go here. And can just speak plain to it too. And not, like I said, again, I'm very, as I look at this industry, the coaching industry, the speaking industry, I'm gonna tell people, like, get your money now, because this is about to change.
Yeah.
Because there's people out here who's ready to start bringing actual real value to people and actually helping people. Yes. And the fake ones are gonna get exposed really quickly.
Yeah, they're gonna be exposed. They're gonna be exposed. So the producers in the background said there's abundance of BS artists. However, I take offense to that because my initials are BS. All right, I'm just but he did say that Barbara is real. So thanks, Mark. Listen,
I mean, I can totally attest to what you're saying, David. I wasn't necessarily anti-coach, but I really didn't know what I needed to know and like where to get started. Our conversation initially was just as funny, and she's like, "So what can I do for you?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." I don't know, but it was something about your energy that drew me in. And then for you, to be drawn in by her, and then to find out that she's also a geek with a personality, had to be doubly, because you can speak both languages to her. For me, I'm like, it was a little bit intimidating. She's like, yeah, so just I'm like, yeah. Now, let me YouTube it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, and I'm gonna tell on her right now, David. Just a quick segue, quick sideline. There is like 15 to 20 pieces of software that I have suggested to her to do. Like, go ahead and create a Bitly link. Go ahead and do XYZ. Go ahead and do. And I'm thinking she knows, because she just says, okay. I come to find out like a year and a half later, she says, you taught me like 20 pieces of software. I was like what? She said, I didn't even know what a Google Doc was. I was like, what?
You didn't really have to expose that. You didn't have to know that. Of all the ones to choose, that's the one you're going to choose. I could have said Bitly. Jot form. You're going to say Google?
She said, you taught me so many things. But she is an expert at all of them. All joking aside, she picks it up, she reads it. And I used to say in my geek years, if you can read, point, and click, information technology is not hard. Read, point, click. It's not hard. But people want to make it more convoluted than it is. But Shani is a superstar in the background doing all kinds of stuff. Whatever I ask her to do, she never says, I don't know. Look, I don't know how to do that. She's getting more comfortable with saying, I don't know how to do that. But for the most part, she is one of those people that can pick it up and do it and get it done, and get it done with excellence. And so I just want to applaud her publicly again, that she is my right hand, right arm, right eye. She definitely supports the BHS and Associates organization to the hilt. I want to switch gears a little bit. What's coming up for David Lee?
So some pretty big things. We talked about the book signing.
Can I stop you real quick? I'm gonna need you to go ahead and toot your horn. Give me some energy.
You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right? Got some pretty good things.
No humbling here. This is a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It is. Listen, it's part of. So here's the thing. I've been, number one, I appreciate you telling me that, Shani. Thank you. I'm working on this side of trying celebrating in the moment more. Like, part of my personality, which is both good and bad, is that.
Notice you stopped yourself from saying trying. Did you notice that?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I did. Is, I usually stay even keel, right? And when I set goals, since I was a kid, it's always like the standard that I have is 10 times above what anybody else has, right? And I do that because it pushes me, and I don't settle for anything that's up there. Because then if I do that, I know all the other stuff that I'll get, right? So first thing I can remember is like, I went to go play football, right? Had never played. My buddy came and got me over the summer because you're not doing anything. Let's go play football. I was like, all right. I was like, what if I'm gonna play? I'm gonna be a starter. I was like, what's the highest level? He said varsity. I was like, all right, I'm gonna play varsity. And I was like, I'm not gonna, that's what I want to do. I'll play varsity. I don't know anything about this. I don't know that freshmen are supposed to play on varsity. Whatever. So I'm out there and working my butt off, learn. About the end of the year, I'm on varsity team, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I did to me, I'm just like, it's a goal. I said it, I did it. And everybody's like, oh my God, you made this, whatever. And I'm like, but I don't know that's not what's supposed to happen. So it's just been like that my entire life. So where I'm going with this is like, I talk about these things because it's like what I have planned and the things I'm going to do over the next 10 or 15 years, that's my focus. And I get so caught in focus on that I don't sometimes, when I talk about the things, people are looking at me like, bro, like you just, you're not going. And I'm like, yeah, but right. It's this stuff coming. So I appreciate it. I'm getting better at that, taking time to kind of celebrate it. The last couple of months have been a whirlwind. And it's pushed me to, get to a level that as I'm starting to plan what's coming next. So right now, I'm building a small team, launching a own cybersecurity company that I will be running. We are currently working with the U.S. Army, so we're on a bid for a contract there. So we'll find that out in a couple of months of whether that gets awarded, which will allow us to kind of fund ourselves for a little bit. And we are looking at building a consolidated kind of AI-driven, cybersecurity tool that will help a lot of these organizations from the identity side and both security side kind of handle a lot of these things a lot better than they are right now. And so we've been building it the past couple of months. We've been making some really good progression on that, talking to some venture capitalists. And so the next 2 to 3 months should be pretty big for us. We'll know whether or not we get awarded the contract. We'll also have some early conversation with VC. So it'll be a nice thing to end the year with.
VC. Did you say
VC? Sorry, venture capitalists. So we're looking for people to invest in the company so we can go out and hire some more engineers, get a good
trainers, speakers, those kind of people.
Yeah. So that's the next biggest thing right now. Obviously, is continue to promote and get the book out there and sell that. As I said, we have some interest in some organizations have reached out asking me to speak, and so those are kind of the two main things I really want to make sure that obviously for the sales, let's be honest, I'm a capitalist. I want people to buy the book, but also because of the conversation that has already been started. I've had a lot of white executives kind of reach out to me and they've read the book, they like it, and they're asking questions and they're like, I loved when you talk about this. And he goes, well, this could really apply to anybody. And I'm like, that's the whole point, exactly. Right? There's nothing magical in this book. It's just the fact that this information, right, isn't apparent to certain groups. And specifically, so I spoke to I'm Black. I was like, to Black people, it's like, here are things that these unwritten rules that you won't know about because you don't grow up in this environment. You don't really kind of speak this language. So here are things that you should know. And one thing I want to get to real quick, Coach Smith, you brought it up, is that, when I came up with the idea for this, what I wanted to do is inspire kind of an anthology series. Like, I want a Black woman to write this and go, hey, like the only one in the room, the unwritten rules of being a Black woman in tech. Because there's things that I will never understand. Right. So, and I want people to be comfortable telling these stories. And it's the only way that any of this gets better is that we constantly have these stories without fear and we talk about them. Right. Because talking about something that's uncomfortable doesn't mean that it has to be a bad thing. It just means you have to learn how to talk about something being uncomfortable. And we talk about it enough to guess what? Now it's comfortable and now we don't have to talk about it anymore.
I know a woman who will be perfect for that.
Actually, that is what the TEDx talk is about. It's about my journey in tech and how I was not included. The theme for the TEDx Mellon Street is talking about inclusion. And so one of the stories that I'm giving on that, kind of spoiler alert, is how I was treated in tech.
Right.
It's part of what makes it scary. I mean, one side is having to learn it, but then the other side is that knowing, because when you're Black, you already know what kind of hurdles, you have an idea of what kind of hurdles are ahead of you. So, okay, I learned tech, but then who's going to take me serious? How hard am I going to have to fight to get to where I know I should be? And those kind of things coupled with it make you just discouraged and say, never mind, I'm not going to mess with AI, even though AI is clearly messing with me.
Yeah, even at the beginning stages, like women in general were taught in my era to be teachers, to be nurses, to be secretaries. Nobody ever said you were smart enough or that you should go after anything, because there was no technology when I was coming up. Okay, let's just say that part. But I was already a geek without even knowing. My parents didn't even know I was a geek, taking things apart and putting things together. When I was supposed to be playing with Barbie, I was just popping her head off and using her as batting practice. But, still don't like dolls. Anyway, I'm just saying, just having a moment. But as I grew, even my counselors were saying nursing, teacher, they weren't. Right. So are our school systems still cultivating these kinds of career choices as opposed to science, technology, engineering, math, and arts? Mm-hmm. Are they still cultivating that? And if they are, that's part of the problem. The second problem is when we get in the environment, David, who do we look to mentor us?
Right.
Where are our mentors that look like us?
Right.
They're not there. And so now you don't have anybody mentoring you. You don't even know the first avenue to go down. And then you're dismissed and eliminated and omitted and passed aside and shut down. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite statements is from Kamala Harris when she was talking and somebody cut her off. It happens all the time in tech meetings. And she said, I'm talking. I love that. I need that to just like replay. But that's what happens for women who are of color in the tech industry. Just
and it was, my first two mentors weren't Black, right? And
you said they were or they weren't?
They weren't, right? It was so, I'm connected with people and they took a very raw 23-year-old who knew he was smart and helped me refine, how I could kind of move throughout, corporate America. They saw the talent coming. They were like, okay, this kid, he's got it. We'll rough on our edges. Let me teach you how to, move in this society, right? And they knew enough about me at the time where it's like they couldn't just come and tell me like, look, man, if you keep talking like that, you ain't gonna make it. Because I was a little militant. I was a little militant coming out. Look, spent 4 years at HBCU. Like I was like, look, so, but
you came out like this,
like this, I was waiting for somebody to say something about my degree. Oh, you went to A&T? Yeah, I went to. I was like,
I didn't go to an HBCU, but I felt kind of the same. Yeah.
But as I started to kind of get older and I started to find some more peers and some Black mentors, it was this, to your point, Coach, you'll come into the environment and you have nobody else that looks like you. So you don't know, again, the unwritten rules. You don't know the things that are happening that everybody else just knows that you don't, right? You don't know that like playing golf isn't playing golf.
Exactly.
Playing golf is where they're establishing relationships. Listen, it's where they're establishing relationships, where they're making deals, where they're closing deals. And doing these things to where like, hey, and I explained it in the chapter in there, it's like, this is spending 3 to 4 hours with somebody that you normally will not get a chance to do, right? And when you understand relationship building, right, then you understand why it's important. And so I tell people, it was like, listen, I named the chapter Learn to Play Golf. And I even said, look, listen, you can tell me, but I hate golf. I was like, okay, but that's not the point. You need to find something and find your way to start building those relationships and connecting with people, because here's where it matters. Like, and this is the truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. When you're up for this promotion, you're up for this next gig, it ain't about what you did. It's about who knows you and whether or not they feel like this is somebody I want to work with every day. So if we're all at a corporation and I'm like, oh, there's this new position, and me and Shani work together every day. I love hanging out with her. We work well together. And it's like, oh, here's all the qualifications. I ain't gonna even look at that. I was like, I'm hiring Shani.
But what do I do if I can't play golf? Like, what do women do? Like, we're not getting invited to the golf course.
It's
maybe to drive the golf cart.
I gotta pack lunch. Who wants a cucumber sandwich? I got you.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich for you. Oh, stop. Listen, Wall Street Hackers is coming up next. This was a great conversation. I want David Lee to tell us where we can find his book, where we can find him, how to connect with you, David Lee.
Yeah, so I am davidlee.com. That's my website. That's the best way to connect everything. The information there is about the book. You can email me there as well. There's a connect button. And yeah, that's it. That's where we can get to the book. I made it super simple. One website and get everything there.
That's cool. If you had one bit of information, one bit of advice to give to our audience today, what would that be?
Take time to find your authentic self.
Oh,
right? It's not something that, and when I say take time, like seriously, take the time to go find that. When you ask yourself that question, sometimes a quick answer, we may think we know, and sometimes we don't. That's the surface answer. So really take some time to find your authentic self. Look at everything in your life and ask me, is this me? Is this something I really want to do? Because once you find that, you will find that your perspective of life and the things you do completely changes. And we don't, there's time is too short to be living somebody else's life. Live your authentic life.
Oh, I love that.
Shani, for the people in the back. Shani. What a waste of time, right? What? It couldn't be a bigger waste of time trying to fill out somebody's shoes and be who they are, only to find out feeling like you're behind. Like, what? Right. I've wasted time. But there is no such thing truly. It's just like, wow, actually, I'm kind of good. I'm kind of cool. I think I like me,
I love it. Work. I love it. Thank you so much, David, for being our guest today. Shani, thank you for always holding things down. Mark, shout out to Mark Lee in the background, producer extraordinaire. Hang out with me in the green room for just a couple of seconds, David, if you don't mind. We are out of here. Listen, Sisters Inspire Sisters to Advance is coming up October 13, 14, and 15 in the beautiful city of it. I was going to say Atlantic City. No, it's Ocean City, Maryland. I got the dates wrong. I'm just excited today. David, you have been a phenomenal guest, and it has made me so happy to see the successes that you have. I love when people are coming up, especially when they're coming up and bringing people with them. Thank you so much, everybody out there. We are out of here. Take it away, Mark. Ladies, if you're a person who continually pours out, you won't want to miss this upcoming event. October 13, 14, and 15 at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Ocean City, Maryland, where we have a power-packed lineup of ladies who are going to pour into you. If you need to increase your impact, your influence, and your income, this is the event for you. Don't miss the power of sisterhood. These ladies coming from around the world to network and connect with you. Don't miss it. How do you get the information? Glad you asked. Go to barbarahsmith.com and click the link. All the details there. Don't miss Sisters Inspire Sisters to Advance, October 13, 14, 15 at the beautiful Holiday Inn and Suites in Ocean City, Maryland. What you know and I know together can change the world. I want to see you there.